you may have heard me talk about this idea of processed food. I find this fascinating because when you hunt and gather, the biggest bottleneck in the modern world is processing that food. And so, you bring me a deer, dude, I got to do some processing. I got to gut that deer. I got to skin that deer. I got to break it down into primals. Then I got to get the meat off the bone. I got to get it packaged. It's like a lot of work to turn that into the next 20 meals or 30, 50 meals, whatever it's going to be. When I bring plants home, it's a lot of work. Like if you gave me a bag of black walnuts, it's like, okay, I got to dry them. I got to break off those husks. I got to crack those shells. I got to pick that meat. There was a moment in history where suddenly machines and labor allowed people to get their food pre-processed, because everybody used to have to process their food. So now we have this thing like processed food's bad. And what we mean is industrial food is bad, but we say processed food's bad, which is not true. It's like, it's processing to take a banana out of its peel. That's processing, that work that's actually the bulk of human work through time. It's the origins of, no doubt it's the origins of music, 25 people sitting around banging on mortars and pestles and tapping on things to break them, and a rhythm breaks out. And over time, people start to develop these rhythmic sounds as they process food. That's like the beginning of storytelling. It's the beginning of human culture, just people sitting around processing food. So there was this moment where we got like liberated from having to do that, which I think is one of the great dangers, because now a person eats asparagus and doesn't know what an asparagus plant looks like. People eat a cod, they've never seen a codfish. You know what I mean? Like we don't even know what the organism is. And for me, when it comes to plants, animals, mushrooms, algae, I like to just step back and be like, every single one of those is a living creature. We have grouped them as animalia and plantae and fungi and algae. We have these kingdoms that I don't want to say they're arbitrary, but we've kind of made up all these categories. But if we step back and we go, they're all life forms. One of the main things that gets me hunting and gathering, as someone with a business who's been successful, I can go buy food. I don't have to do all this. I do it because I want to know the creatures that I eat. Whatever kingdom they come from, I want to be, more than know them, I want to be in relationship with the things that I eat. And if you take the processing out of that and the acquisition out of that, and you just have the eating part, you don't know, it's like no relationship. That part's weird to me. So weirder to me than the fact that people eat industrial food. I think it's far stranger. That I at least can understand there's ease and, comfort or whatever. What I don't understand is eating living things your whole life and not knowing what any of them look like in their natural environment.
I've heard you say this, and I heard you say that we eat species we have never met. And I thought that was such an insightful comment. And what is implicit and what comes out of that statement is that when we meet the species that we eat, it changes the way that we consume them, doesn't it? I mean, is that your experience with what you're doing?
Yeah. And there's a couple layers to that, because maybe I go haddock fishing and I see haddock. I was haddock fishing this week, so I'm thinking of them. I see all these haddock, but then I eat those haddock. And that's different than I go to an aquarium and I see a haddock and then I go buy haddock at the store. Those are two different things, both good, but they're different. Like one is, okay, now I know what the organism is, but I don't know what this one I'm eating, where it came from, what its story is, or any of that. This is a very new phenomenon. When in history have people not had personal, aside from, aristocracy or royalty in the past, who else would just not have any connection to the foods they're eating? People were so much closer. I'm talking from 150 years ago, back 300,000 years or more, we have known our food. So this stuff is all really weird, where it just shows up and you don't know who picked it. You don't know where it came from. You don't know the organism. You don't know the country of origin, any of it. It's like, wow, that's really weird. So I really like sitting down to a meal and the skull of the animals there. I like that. It's like, I've eaten all those bears back behind me. It's like those skulls are bears that I've sat down to eat. And when I'm eating them, there they are. You know what I'm saying? Like that level of depth and relationship to me is like the difference between, it's like my intimate relationship with my wife. When I make love with my wife, man, it's our souls are making love too, not just our bodies, versus like maybe a casual encounter through a glory hole, right? It's like totally anonymous. You know what I'm saying? It's like that level of like, wow, we are like, we don't even know who's on the other side. So I like to eat animals that I've met.